Alrighty, guys. Thanks for joining me. This is your host, ID Jester. We are going to be going over the new edition of Matchup Hockey here. So, we'll get to the reasons why and talk about everything, but I wanted to kind of go over everything in a video with you guys so I could hear your thoughts, opinions, comments, suggestions, and of course, kind of keep you up to date on what's going on since I haven't posted anything too recently. Just it's been about a week or so since I've done this because I decided after playing. So let's get into the hows and whys. So there is things have been changed. The core concept is still the same, but there is some new additions to the game because after playing it and testing it out, I realized that. All right, so let's go over why, right? So we're going over why there's a new change. Before we get to that, though, I should say, you guys know that this game is a game in the works, in process. It's in process. It's not a finished, a finalized things. So I told people that the last time, and people were getting all bent out of shape every time I changed something on it. So if you want to wait till the final product comes out and I'm completely happy with everything, then that's fine. You can just sit there and wait. But I don't want to hear any complaints about, oh, you changed this and I don't like it. Well, okay, well then, sorry, but I hate to sound like a jerk about it. I really do because I appreciate all the thoughts and all the comments and suggestions from people, but I got fed up and kind of stopped working on this last time because I got whole bunch of people interested in it, and then I kept changing things and adding things and manipulating things, and then some people didn't like it, and they fought with me back and forth about changing it and changing some of the stats and the ratings and this and that. And no, I'm not going to do that this time. So if you have any thoughts, comments, suggestions, whatever, that's great. But I'm not going to be changing anything back. I'm not going to undo anything. I'm moving forward this time, and it's not going to be, I will just stop sharing things until it's done because I don't want to go through that again with people. So this is the way it's going to be. The new changes are going to be there. Some people might really, really be excited about the changes, and some people won't be excited about the changes. If you're not excited about the changes, I'm sorry, but this is the direction I want to head with the game. And these are the reasons why. That's why I'm doing this video. Okay? So I wanted to get that out this time ahead of time because if you want to help and you want to be part of the process, I'm more than willing to send out the files to you. I'm more than willing to listen to you. I would like your input, but the things I don't want is I don't want to be in a big discussion about why everything gets changed all the time and it's now not the game it was. Well, that's the way life is when you're working on a game. I know there's some other hockey game enthusiasts out there, some people that are actually creating their own games as well. And I would suggest you go check out their games as well because maybe their game will be better for you. Um, Not every hockey game is meant to be everything for everyone. You may really, really be excited about these changes, and you may really, really be like, wow, that's not really what I wanted. If that's the case, that's fine. Just move on, find a different game for you then. But I'm not going to argue and fight about why I made the changes and, get all pissed off and bent out of shape about it and then stop working on it again. So, again, I don't want to sound like a jerk. I just want to get my hockey game to where I want it to be. And if you don't like it, then create your own damn hockey game. All right. So, sorry about all that. I mean, if you guys weren't involved with this about 8 months ago or a year ago, whenever I was working on it last time, I was super excited getting into it, and then it just turned into a big ordeal. And I don't want it to turn into a big ordeal this time. So, anywho's, so after playing a couple test games, with the old system, I realized that there's not a lot uh, that really matters about the players other than how well they shoot. And I didn't really like that. I mean, it was part of the game, but I wanted the players to have more of an influence on the outcome of what's going on in the game. And for that, I decided to go ahead and reinstitute offensive and defensive ratings for each player. I originally had offensive and defensive ratings for players, and I took that out and tried to do it another way, and I don't like how it turned out. So I'm going back to offensive and defensive ratings for each player. And because of this, you can see the stat sheets are actually been changed and updated and formatted. So I wanted to kind of go over that with you guys and show you, because if you do get the new file, I want you to be able to know where everything is at. All right, so normally we had the penalty in the top right-hand corner, the face-off in the top left-hand corner, any special stats over in the left side. And I've kind of rearranged things to keep things together that needs to be kind of together. So you can see on the left-hand side now you have your offensive and defensive ratings. These are going to be based on a 1 to 5 system, because you're going to be comparing your players' stats with the D6. A 1 will be an automatic pass. If you roll on a 6-sided dice and you roll 1, and a 6 will be an automatic failure. So your ratings are going to be anywhere between 1 and 5. And the higher, the better chance that your player has of passing their test, their ability test. And if they pass their ability test, then good things will happen. If they fail their test, then bad things will usually happen. So you can see with Alex Ovechkin here, I kind of moved the special ratings from the left-hand side, and I put them over here next to the players' names, and just kind of shorten the players' names box a little bit so that they would fit there. Face-offs now are all the way over on the right-hand side, and then the penalty rating got moved down to the next box down. So the penalty rating, instead of in the top, will be kind of in the middle, and then you have your tip rating. So now players will have a little bit more input in what's going on, other than, hey, I can shoot the puck really, really well, because, there are players that, maybe don't shoot the puck, but they set up players really well, and, all that stuff. So, I mean, now, instead of just how well does this player shoot, I'm going to put the best player on the ice that shoots really well. Now you have to really think about, well, I'm going to be calling into attention their offensive and defensive ratings, obviously face-off ratings during any time there's a play stoppage, penalty ratings anytime there's a penalty number, and then, of course, the tip number, which is anytime there's a possibility of a tip. All right, so because of the way things are changing now, there is going to be a completely new result chart that will be coming out to represent this. And we're going to get into that rather shortly. So, face-offs, again, you're going to look top right now, penalties, any tip results, and also keep in mind where the face-off rating is. Defensive players don't have face-off ratings. They have block ratings there instead. So if their block rating is called into account, that would be up at the top instead of the face-off rating. All right. And because you don't use penalty and tips as much, those are not, they're kind of on the side, kind of not at the top. And then, of course, your offensive and defensive ratings are going to be called in all the time, because I'll be showing you guys the chart here very shortly. So, let's take a look at, so we're going to zoom in on one of these teams if I can get the, I got my thing on the monitor, so I can't see. Hang on, I gotta move that. So let's go ahead and take a look. So as I mentioned, right? Any of your defensemen, instead of having a face-off, they're gonna have a block rating instead of a face-off rating, but everything else will be the same. And you can see the players with special abilities will have, they'll be in orange, so they'll kind of stand out a little bit easier. And they're not so much in the way. And then, like I said, all your offensive and defensive ratings. Oh, I didn't put a thing between Namasoft there. I'll have to go back and do that. Looks like everybody else is okay. People probably want to know about the penalty ratings. Penalty rating, this is a 4, and then there's a lot of players that actually have a star next to their number. Some don't, some do. The star represents the fact that that player had taken a major penalty sometime during the season. So if they have a star, when you roll a major penalty, they will get a major penalty. When you roll a major penalty and they don't have a star, like say Tyler Dodson, they don't take a major penalty, they will only take a minor penalty. And if we look at Washington, we'll look at him in a minute. So that's kind of, I know some people were probably wondering what these stars represented. I hadn't really gone over it, but they represent whether or not, all right, so this is going to be the main driving force behind this. And we're going to show you some examples of it here shortly-ish. All right, the other thing I wanted to do was kind of separate. You can see there's been quite a few changes, and we'll get to what that all represents and what that means here in a second. But, because you're rolling a D6 for each side, and I didn't want the D6 to really determine the outcome of the play as much as the players, right? The players should have more impact than just a random D6, right? So you can see here, whether you win by 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, the results are pretty much the same across the board. The only difference is obviously the better you do against the other team, the better shot result you'll get out of the results. So anytime it has the pound sign, okay, that represents player test, where you're going to test either the offense or the defensive value of whatever player you roll on the die. And if you're testing the defensive player, if the defensive player is successful, then he's basically defended against the attack and there will be no action. You can see there's no actions. The no actions will be when the defensive players pass their test or the offensive player results fail their test. These will be basically no actions now. So it'll be up to the players to determine when there's action or no action, and it'll be based upon the player's stats, which I think it'll make it more where you understand and you can kind of feel the good players and you can kind of get a gist of, oh yeah, this guy's got a 5. He's going to pass his test all the time, and he'll really help, as opposed to like a player that's a 1 or 2 rank offensive or defensive stat. So the only time there's actually a play stoppage now is on 4, and you can see again, because I want to keep this flowing as fast as possible with minimal brain effort power by the players. You can see that, like, for example, on 5, it's all the same result. The only difference will be the outcome of the shot on goal. You're going to be testing the defensive player. So how do you know who the defensive player is? I'm going to show you in a minute, but the defensive team is going to be the team that lost the matchup roll. The offensive team would be the team that won the matchup roll. because they have the puck. They have beaten the player. Now, when you tie, you can see that it will be determined either visitor team or home team, because that way we need to know who's got the puck in a tie situation. In any other situation, we have one team that did better than the other team. The team that did better is the offensive team, and the team that did worse has to do better defensively because the other team did better than them. So you can see pretty much 5 straight across the board and 6 straight across the board is the same thing. You're going to test the defensive player. If they pass, it's no action. If they fail, then the offensive team is going to get a shot on goal, whether it's a C, a B, or an A, depending on how much they won the matchup by. 8 and 9 are the same, but it's the exact opposite. You're going to test the offensive player. If they are successful, they're going to get a shot on goal. If they're unsuccessful, then it's no action. You will also notice that I moved from penalty from 9 to 10 because 10 and 4 work much better than 4 and 9, and I can keep everything pretty standard across the board equal. The gray ones represent where you're not testing it. It's just an automatic result. So if you roll, say, you're a +2 and you roll a 3, it's an automatic shot on goal with the possibility of a tip. If you roll a 7, which we all know is the most common number, it's an automatic. You don't need to test. So you're not going to be testing everybody every single time, but you'll be testing people quite often. 5, 6, 8, and 9 are going to be your numbers, at least at even strength. Now, power play, penalty kill, and aggressive will be slightly different. And also keep in mind that I've changed the outcome from, it used to be a tie and +1 were C's, +2 and +3 were B's, and +4 and +5s were A's. I've changed that now where ties +1 and +2. Just think of tie, just ignore ties because that's a special situation. It's basically just +1 and +2 are C's, +3 and +4 are B's, and then +5 are A's. Again, I don't want the random 6-sided dice to make too much of a difference. I want it to obviously represent some difference, but no, I don't want it to be like, oh, well, if I beat you, I roll a random 6 and you roll a random 3, then it's, oh yeah, if I do that more than you do, then I should win the game. I don't want it to be like that. I want it to have some variation on the game, but I don't want it to be the end all of be all, if you know what I mean. Okay? I want it to be more based upon the players. Again, I think a lot of people will, once they hear and understand this and the concept and the thought behind it, they'll make a lot more sense, and hopefully true hockey players will be excited about the changes and understand why the changes happened and want their players to make a difference in the game. Because let's be honest, okay, hockey is different than any other sim sport out there. It's the hardest game to create because you're not like football. I got a certain play and I'm setting this play up. I'm running on 3rd and 2 as opposed to passing. Or I'm throwing a medium slant on 3rd and 11. You have set plays that you're doing and the defense is setting up a certain way. In hockey, everything's just chaos going on. You don't really technically set up plays because the puck is going anywhere, bouncing here, there, everywhere, and you don't really get a chance to very, very often is it a set play. And normally that's just off of like a face-off or something. Anywho, so in hockey, it's just chaos that you're trying to represent in this game. So I don't know why I was going off on that tangent, but probably because I was explaining why and how the process, my thought process going into this. So I've changed it to 1 and 2 are C's, 3s and 4s are B's, 5s are A's. So that way, yeah, there's a little bit of variation, but you're not getting a huge difference from just a random D6. All right. So let's just minimize this again. sort of minimize it. So we have, we looked at Tampa. There's Washington again. Same thing. Faceoffs are now up in the top right-hand corner. We have a penalties and then the tips, and then the offensive and defensive ratings for all the players. Defensemen have the block in the top right-hand corner as opposed to faceoffs. And that's about, to be honest, right? If we look at this, to be honestly, right? For as little area as this takes up, right? Because one of the things I wanted to do was make sure that my game, I could have it so that players can use little discs or tokens or slide it inside a sheet and just mark off which, inside the clear plastic sleeve. And they can just mark off which players they have on the ice so they can mix and match players. Changing lines would be quick and easy and everything. And so, to be honest, when you look at the players, you got an offense, you got a defense, you have their face-off value, their penalty ratings, their ability to tip, their shooting ratings, and then, of course, their stats for the season, right? In just this little tiny box. So that's about as much info. Oh, and plus you got some with special abilities. This is a great passer. So when the great passer result comes into play, then you have shot A, you got shot B, you have shot C, you have rebounds, which has its own special category. Then you have breakaways and penalty shots are put together in one category, and then shootout results for a shootout. So all that information on just that little tiny spot on the sheet. Technically, I could make the boxes a little bit wider and add in some more stats, but at this point, I just don't see it's needed. Plus, without that in there, you have lots of room to write down information. Or, like I said, if you put it inside a plastic, what do they call those things? The sleeves, you know what I'm talking about. The page sleeves, the clear plastic page sleeves. You can just slide it inside of there. Use a dry erase marker. You can write down, if somebody's in a penalty, what time they're coming out of the penalty box or whatever. So you need a little bit of space between them for that. And I think, to be honest, offensive, defensive ratings, all their different stat ratings, their face-off rating, their penalty rating, their tip rating, and their stats for this season, I think for that little tiny box, it's actually a lot of good information in that little tiny box, as opposed to putting all that on a huge ass 3 3/4 by 5.5 inch card like Stratomatic does, or on a 3.5 by 2.5 inch like Appa does. And I have pretty much all the information on my little things that they have on their cards. Maybe not everything, but enough. All right. So that's why, my game, I wanted to make it where, because I'm the kind of hockey player, right? I like changing lines to make it realistic. I don't want to keep one line out for 4 minutes and then change lines and then keep another line out for 4 minutes. Minute and a half, change lines. And changing lines should be very, very fast. And the only way you're going to do that is either with card sleeves, like I have for Stratomatic and Appa, or inside the crease, or any hockey game. If you got a way to put your hockey cards in the sleeves, then yes, you can change lines pretty quickly. But in this game, if you have little tokens next to each player that's out on the ice, you can just slide the tokens. Literally, should only take you 5 to 10 seconds to change lines. All right, so let's go over an example of some gameplay here so I can show you guys. So now, as you can see, we have quite a few dice you're going to roll for a play. So it can be a little confusing. You don't necessarily need to roll all of these at one time. But I think just for ease of use and showing you, I'm going to do that. So we have our matchup dice. This is Washington, and this is Tampa Bay. This is just like normal. 2d6, you're going to be looking at the matchup die, and you're going to be looking at the 2 white dice to get your play result. So those 4 are exactly the same as it was before. The only new additions, obviously, with our rock and roll thing, I don't actually have listed left wing, center, right wing like you've seen on my YouTube channel. So this little colored die represents what position you're going to be testing if a test is needed. So either in each of the positions, and once you play it and get the flow, you'll know 1 is left wing, center is 2, right wing is 3, left defense is 4, right defense is 5. And if you roll a 6 on this dice, then depending on what you're using it for, certain things will happen. If you're checking a shot on goal, then if you roll a 6, then the defensive team needs to block it, as opposed to you have to roll on your player to get a shot on goal. And then the black die represents the die that you're going to compare to their stats. So if we look at, say, Ovechkin here, if we're looking at offense, he's a 5. So if this is a 4, it's got to be 5 or less, and Ovechkin wins it. So when you look at the black die, right? Let's see if sometimes you can get them to actually, there we go, kind of bounce it around a little bit. So anytime you've got a 6 on the black die, you know that's an automatic failure because no stat goes above 5. So, when you look at the black die, oh, it's a 6. Oh, he failed. No, it's automatic failure. And then, of course, if you roll come on, bounce off of there. There we go. If you roll 1, 1's an automatic success because there's no stat less than 1. Even Tyler Groviak has a 1 rating. So if you roll 1, it's an automatic. So the only time you'll really need to test is like if you roll a 2, 3, 4, 5, which is, 2/3 of the time. But a third of the time, you'll automatically know the result of the play. So let's just assume we have the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense lines out for both Tampa and for Washington. Okay? And we have a face-off ready to go. We can look and see Backstrom is a face-off of 7. Braden Point is a face-off of 5. So Washington's going to get a +1 on their die roll. All right, so let's just roll the dice and see what the outcome is from our play. All right, so Washington got a 3. Tampa gets a 4. But remember, because of the better face-off value, Washington gets a +1, so it's going to be a 4 versus 4, which we all know is a tie. So in this case, a tie and a 5. We go to our chart. Tie and a 5 is the puck is iced by the visitors. We'll have another face-off. So 20 seconds of time went by, not much happened, and we're going to have another face-off. Now, because it's in the Tampa end of the ice, they are playing. They have to guard against the, shots on goal. So it's going to give Washington a +1 to their face-off rating. In this case, it doesn't matter because he already beats Braden Point by 2 points. So beating him by 3 or 5 or 10, it doesn't matter. He's still higher than him. So it's still a +1 to Washington. We'll have another reroll. And the face-off is in Tampa's end of the ice. All right, so we have 2 for Tampa. 1 plus a 1 is 2, so again it's a tie, and this time it is a 4. So we're going to look at the chart and we're going to 4. So this says visitor. You're going to check the visitor team, and in this case you're going to check the visitor defensive player. So which player is it? Well, we're going to check the visitors 3, which is a right wing. That's Kucherov. And we're going to be testing his defense. So we look under his defense. That's a 3. It is a 3, so Kucherov was successful. All right? So because he was successful, he denies the shot on goal. Because basically just think of, Washington's coming in. They're getting ready to shoot. Kucherov has good defense. He gets a stick in the way, knocks it aside or whatever. So in this case, it's just no action. So no action and 20 seconds off the clock. And we've already had the face-off, so that value doesn't come in anymore because play is we're playing on at this point. I'll be off in about 10 minutes. Is she? Okay, yeah, we'll call her in 10 minutes. Oh, okay. All right, sorry about that. So because Kucherov's good defense, right? Kucherov's good defense, he denied the shot on goal by Washington, and because of this and the stats, and because now, okay, I remember in my head Kucherov. Ooh, he made a good play, and I might even record that when if you're keeping stats and say, oh, okay, Kucherov, every time he makes a play, either offensively or defensively, I might, keep a stat. And so that way at the end of the game, you can see which players played well, which players didn't play well, which didn't live up to their standard, right? All right, so play on now, as there was no action there, as Kucherov denies Washington's shot on goal. All right, so we're just normal again, and in this case, it is 6 for Tampa, 5 for Washington, so no adjustments for the faceoff or anything. Again, we're in the middle of play, and in this case, it's a +1. So we're going to look under the +1 column, and that is a 6 and a 2, so that's an 8. So we're going to the +1 column and an 8. So in this case, we're going to test the offensive team. So who's the offensive team in this case? The offensive team is the team that won the matchup. They did better. They have puck possession. They are the offensive team. So we're going to test the offensive team. Which player are we going to test? Oh, it's a 6. Well, back to a 6. It was a 6. Come on, dumb dice. There we go. It was a 6. All right. So in normal situations, we're going to test one of the offensive players, and we're going to test to see whether it was successful or not. But in this case, anytime you roll a 6 again, right, we have to check to see whether or not Washington blocks the shot. So again, we're just playing with offensive and defensive values. 8 and 8 is 16, and I don't have a 20-sided dice, which well, you know what? We'll add a die. 1d20. We'll make it purple or blue or whatever. He rolled a 15 on the die. So 8 and 8 is 16. So in this case, the way I do it is if it's an odd result, then it's the left. Because odd, one is, think of the left. Actually, I would do this oppositely, because the left defense is even, because it's a 4. So in this case, the odd number, I would give it to the odd numbered man. So John Carlson blocked it. If you were keeping track of stats and wanted to know this information, you would keep, and you're interested to know this. If you're not keeping that stat, you don't care. You just quickly look at it and you move on. So another 20 seconds in the book is Carlson blocks the shot. You could roll a die to see who took the shot if that was something you were interested in. If you're not, again, just roll the dice and move on. So we'll go ahead and roll. And so far we've had Kucherov with a good defensive play, and then we had John Carlson block his shot. So you can see we don't need the no action ones anymore, because basically the players are going to tell us when there's no action or what the action result was. All right, so in this case, we have a 5 for Washington. We have a 2 for Tampa. So Washington wins by 3. Okay. And the result of the white dice is a 5. So we look at the +3 and the 5. And we're going to test Tampa's defense again. Which position? Well, we look at the dice. Now, of course, you would get a special die, and it would say left wing, center, right wing, left defense, right defense, or it'd have a star on it. We don't have that in this little computer program, so we have to just remember 3. 3 is the right wing, so Kucherov again has to make another defensive play. And in this case, 1, he is a 3. So is the die 3 or less? It is. So Kucherov, once again, makes a great defensive play, knocks the puck off or intercepts a pass, however you want to, think of it in your head, makes a good check, whatever however you want to think about it, or just if you're broadcasting and talking about it, you can say, yo, Kucherov coming in, he hits Ovechkin off and steals that puck away from him. Another 20 seconds off the clock, and we're re-rolling. All right, so we got a 3 versus a 3, so that is even. So we're going to be in the even column. And this time it is a 9. The 9 is puck ice by the home team. So another 20 seconds off the clock. It's been a minute and 20 seconds. We're going to go ahead and change lines. So we're going to assume line 2 and pair 2 come in for both teams, just so we can keep things going. Face off is 4 for Kuznetsov and 7 for Stamkos. So Stamkos gets a +1 because the face off is in Washington's end, but again, it's not needed. So in this case, Tampa Bay is going to get a +1 to their next roll, and we're going to have a face off. So face off here in Washington's end of the ice. And Tampa has a 1. Washington has a 4, but they get a +1. So Washington wins the matchup by 2. We're going to run the 2 column. And the total is a 7. So we look at the 7. It's an automatic shot on goal C. So it's an automatic shot on goal. And we would look at this die, which is the player determination dice. And once again, it is a 6, which means instead of using one of the players that's taking the shot, we look at the defensive team to see whether or not they block it. We have Sergachev and Girardi out there, 8 and 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is a 6, so they block it. It's even, so it's going to be the left defenseman Sergachev gets a stick on it, and it goes awry. And of course, you would at this point roll actually on the wide chart to see, if there's a play stoppage or if you just play on. We're just going to assume it's a play on, and we're going to roll again. So face off, it's not a face off, so we're just normal comparison here. Oh, Washington wins by 5. This is a huge one. Washington by 5. Okay. And the result is a 10. Ooh, that was a 5. Let's see if I can move this back to 5. Oh. All right, whatever. It was a 10. Let's look at +5 and a 10. And that's a penalty now. So we're going to check on a penalty. And who are we going to check on? We're going to look at the player location die. So 1 is going to be the left wing, and this is Kunitz. He has a penalty of 3-star, and this is an 8, so it's not a penalty. So we will go to the second part of this, which is the shot on goal A. So somebody for Washington is going to possibly get a shot on goal A. Now let's check this out. We're going to roll the dice again, and we're going to look at our random player. This is 4, so it's going to be the left defenseman. That is going to be Matt Niskanen. He is a 4. He is a 4 on an A, and that is a 19. So he shot it wide. We would then look at our dice here on the white chart to see what the result was. We'll just assume it's play on. So Niskanen with a quality shot, but he just shoots it just over the crossbar. It bounces in the corner, and we play on. All right, Washington, huge again, +3 and a 7. So +3 and a 7. You remember 7s, most common number, are automatic shots. So somebody for Washington is going to get a shot on goal B. And that player is the player location die, is a 2, which is the center. That is Kuznetsov. He's got a shot B. That is a 1-5. That is a 15. So once again, that is going to be Let's look and see. So Vasilevsky's a 1-14. He rolled a 15, so that would be, well, first of all, you look at the player to see if it's within range. So Kuznetsov, it's a 1-5. It's not within range, so it's not a scoring opportunity. The only thing we're seeing is whether or not it was on goal and the goalie need to make a save, or if he shot it wide. 14 or less, then it's on Vasilevsky, and he either made the save or, he makes the save. And it's 15 or higher, then it's just shot wide. In this case, another wide shot, and then we would roll on the wide shot chart. We'll just assume it says play on, and we'll do one more quick roll here to show you the process here. We got a 6 and 6, so that's a tie. So we're on the tie column. We got a 4 on the tie column, and that is going to be the visitor team. In this case, it's going to be Tampa. We're going to check their defense. And for which player are we going to test? We're going to test the defender. And I don't even need to look at the chart because it's a 1. Remember, anytime you roll a 1, it's an automatic success because nobody's got a 0 rating. So it's an automatic success. So I know that he has defended well, and we will not have a shot on goal C by the opponent. And re-roll really quickly. And I can show you, once you understand, I'm going slow because I want you guys to know. It's a +1 for Tampa, and we rolled a 2. +1 and a 2 is a shot on goal C. And if they had any exceptional skaters on the ice, which they do, Stamkos is an exceptional skater, and it makes it, instead of a shot on goal C, it makes it a shot on goal B. So shot on goal B, who's going to take it? It's going to be the left wing. That is going to be Kunitz. Kunitz, and a B is a 4. That is a 6. Too bad. If it was an A shot, he would have been on, but B shot, it's not. And it's a 6, which means it's going to be saved by Holtby. So anything up to 14 would be a save by Holtby. So and then we roll on the easy save chart, and we move on. Look at all these ones: 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and a 2. Let's roll again, just in case you guys have any thoughts, questions, or whatever. +2 for Washington, and we rolled a 3. +2 and a 3. It's a shot on goal C. And we're looking for a tip. Who's going to tip it, you might ask? Well, let's look at this die. This die. Oh, no. Actually, that's not true because we have the new tip chart. We'll just assume it was tipped by, let's see, 3. Actually, 3 on the tip chart is, oops, I'm not giving you any sneak peeks because I don't want to confuse you. On the tip, it is the left defenseman. So left defenseman is going to try to tip this, and that's Matt Niskanen. He has a tip of 3. That is a 9. So no tip. So we go into the wide shot, and we move on. Let's see if we can get one more quality shot here on goal. That is a +2 for Washington. +2 and a 4. That's going to be a play stoppage. +2 and a 4. So cool thing is I'm trying to make it so that, you're going to start not having to, it's kind of like the old APA baseball, right? 31 is a fly ball to center field. A 13 is a strikeout. A 14 is a walk. It's going to be the same thing. Oh, a 7, that's a shot on goal. An 8 is we're testing the offensive player. On a 5, it's a defensive player. So once you start to remember those numbers, it's going to make game flow, right? So I'm going to move that off the screen. You guys have had a chance to look at it. So let's see if you can remember what the number is without me even looking, right? So we have a +2, and an 8. So what was the +2 and an 8? I was going to test the offensive player. We're going to test the offensive player. Oh, we don't need to even look. That's a 6. That's an automatic failure. So no, because he failed his offensive test, you can think that he made a bad pass, or maybe he lost the puck to somebody, or, whatever, however you want to envision it. He offensively failed his check. You know, he was sending it around the boards. The puck, jumped his stick. Maybe he broke his stick, whatever you want to assume. So without even looking now, you guys are going to be professionals at this. Look at this. Look at you guys go. All right. I don't know what this die number is because it's covered. So that's +3 for Tampa, a 3 and a 9. What's a 9? Yeah, we're going to test the offensive player. That's going to be the right wing. Oh, 6 again. Damn, that's going to be an automatic failure. So that is, who failed this one? It's going to be Yanni Gourde failed this one. Oh, line changes. We're going to put the third liners in, third defensive pair for both teams real quick. So you can see, you don't even really need the charts once you memorize, or not memorize, but you understand. So that is a +1 and a 4. +1 and a 4 is the play stoppage. All right. Roll the die again. That is an even and a 10. Even and a 10 is a little bit different. The even ones you'll probably have to memorize those eventually. So we're looking at the home, and we're going to test their defense this time. Same thing as it's the exact opposite of the 4. The 4 and the 10 are opposites. The 5 and the 9 are opposites. The 6 and the 8 are opposites. So we're going to test the home defense to see if he's going to allow a shot on goal. So in this case, we can see right now, doesn't matter who it is, they failed. This dice rolls a lot of 6s. Wow, it's crazy. So he failed. So somebody for Tampa is going to get a shot on goal C. So let's take a look and see if we can find out who's going to get this shot. And it's going to be 3. That is going to be the right wing. C, though, is only a 2. He is a 5. And that'll be a save by Holtby. All right, we'll just assume there is no rebound and it's just a play on, just so we can go through this process without worrying about the other charts. That's a +2 and a 6. Remember what that one is? Yep, we're going to test the defensive team. So in this case, defensive team, again, is going to be Washington because they rolled less on the matchup. They don't have possession of the puck. They're the defensive team. So we're going to test the defense of the left wing. That's Brett Connolly. He is a 2, and that is a 2. So he's successful. So Connolly, only a 2, makes the good defensive play for Washington and denies the shot on goal. And that's as simple as it is. It's really not that complex. I made it probably sound a lot harder than it probably needed to be. I think you guys will pick this up if you've played the other version. There is a few extra dice. Like I said, you don't necessarily need to roll all those dice at the same time, but you can see it's not that hard once you're just going to look at the 2 colored dice and see the difference. Oh, it's a 5 and a 2. Well, that's going to be an automatic shot on goal. I know that because 2s and 3s are automatics. 11s and 12s are automatic, and 7 are automatic. So a 2 is going to be a shot on goal A. And who's it going to go to? It is going to go to the right wing for Washington. Right wing, we'll just say fourth line was out there. That's Devante Smith-Pelvey. And he takes his shot. Can he take the shot? 5. No, he can't. He's only a 2. So he misses. We'll just assume he takes a shot but shoots it wide or whatever. So we play on. All right, that is a +2 for Tampa. 2 and a 7 is an automatic shot on goal. It's going to be an automatic shot on goal by the right wing. And it's a 19, which is probably going to be a miss. There's no goalie that's probably going to have that bad a stat. So that'll be a miss. I'll roll again real quick here. It's a tie. Tying a 9. That's going to be puck iced by the home team. And we'll just assume we're now playing more. So you can see, you just look, boom, boom, +4 and a 7. That's going to be an automatic shot on goal. Who's going to take it? Oh, nope. It's going to be a defensive block. And in this case, a 5 will be a block. So they block the shot. And now this is a +3 for Washington, and then 12. That's an automatic shot on goal. That's a shot on goal B. And who's going to take it? It's going to be the right defenseman. I'm sorry. We don't need to look at that. We know it's a shot on goal. It's an automatic shot on goal. But we do need to look and see who it is. In this case, is right defenseman, and we'll say it's Phil Grubauer. B is B over here, dude. Christian Doge. He is a 2. This is a 9. It's a nice shot on goal. He just saved by Vasilevsky. We roll on the rebound chart or whatever to see if it's a rebound. So, yep, that's pretty much gameplay. And why the new offensive and defensive ratings are in. I wanted to have it more along the lines of players determining outcomes of plays as opposed to just random dice rolls, and making it a little easier compared to the other chart, understanding and using the same values and not letting +1, +2, +3, +4, +5 really dictate the outcome. I mean, it's going to obviously make a little bit of a value, but it shouldn't be the end all of gameplay. So, again, if you guys have any thoughts, suggestions, comments, keep in mind what I said earlier. I'm not going back to the other version, so you know, if you're not happy with the outcome of this, the other thing I would say to you guys is, again, this is a work in progress. Things are going to change. If you don't want to get involved now and see and test things and then have things change and then have to retest things and relearn things, then maybe you don't want to be a beta tester after all. But if you do, that's great. We're looking for people and we would love to get some feedback from you guys. I think I don't want to add extra complexity when it doesn't need to be there. This does obviously add a slight extra complexity to the game, but you have to determine, like all good games out there, is the extra complexity needed and is it worth it? And I think for the 0.3% extra complexity to the game, the abilities of the players making offensive and defensive checks, and understanding which players had good days, which player, had bad days. If Backstrom keeps failing all of his checks, you kind of have the feeling that Backstrom isn't having a good day, if Carlson keeps blocking shot after shot after shot, you'll remember that stuff. If it's just a random die roll, you don't know which players are doing these things, then you could just have any player out there. So that's the whys in the house. I am interested to hear what your thoughts, comments, suggestions, your views, your values, and everything else. Once I get the team sheets are done, I need to get the result chart done. I will upload those to my Discord channel. If you want to know where that's at, look in the the comments section of this video. I'll see everyone soon. Take care, guys.